Did you know that, on average, an active human body produces anywhere from 100 to 400 watts of energy every single day? But of those hundreds of watts, the brain only uses roughly 20%? I mean, you'd think the organ that operates your entire being would be more of a gas guzzler, but the amount of energy it burns up is close to what a dim light bulb needs to stay lit. And a common task like reading a book only burns up around 15 watts. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, all of this is to say that, even if it is just a small amount of energy, I really wish I could get those 15 watts back that I wasted reading issue 31 of Tom King's Wonder Woman. When Tom King's run first began back in 2023, I, unlike most other fans, was alright with it. I thought it wasn't amazing, but it also wasn't as awful as some people were saying it was either. However, more recent issues of this run have gotten me to do something that I don't do very often.
I changed my mind.
I swear, the longer this run goes on, the worse it seems to get, and with the arrival of its 31st issue, I think we've finally seen just how low it can go. I'm not kidding when I say that this shit hurt to read, but as we all know, misery loves company, so I thought, why not share the love? Why not give you all a glimpse into how bad things have gotten? Why not do a rundown of Wonder Woman issue 31 right now? The issue starts off with a brief scene of Tom King's OC, Elizabeth Prince, as a toddler playing with her friend. And this friend of hers happens to be Tom King's other OC, the Matriarch. Now, you may be asking, who is the Matriarch? And, oh boy. Alright, so right now, I want you to close your eyes and, in your mind, take a second to make up the most stereotypical Mary Sue type character you can. Have you got it? Okay, now open your eyes. I guarantee that you just thought of the Matriarch. The Matriarch, or Lissa, which is apparently her name, is one of the worst villains I've seen recently. Not only does she feel clumsily inserted into the story, but every single thing she does is just a massive contrivance. Her entire role in the story is that she's a big, serious threat just because. 20 years into the future, the Matriarch kills the entire Justice League in convoluted ways and takes over the world. Why is she strong enough to do that? Just because. She also has a Legion ring and a Green Lantern ring that she uses to kill people. Why does the Lantern ring not reject her? Just because. I mean, in the last issue, she faced off against a bunch of Wonder Woman's villains and killed them all in 2 seconds. Just because. Also, side note, but I hate when writers do this. In the Gladiator match, the Matriarch also fights Grail, who looks really old for some reason, but she's part god. She doesn't age. Like, why even make her look like a grandma when it's only been like 20 years? You know what? I'm getting off topic. Moving on, the scene changes to 20 years in the future where the Matriarch rules the world. Lex Luthor is talking to a couple people about how he's supposed to present her with the Godkiller sword at a ceremony the next day, supposedly as a token of loyalty or whatever. Tom King also makes Lex sexist in this scene, which is I don't know, that's just kind of weird. Anyway, the people Lex is talking to turn out to be the new DC Trinity, the original Trinity's kids, all grown up. And they're here to conspire with Lex to assassinate the Matriarch at the ceremony, which I'm sure is completely in character for them. After this, we get a quick flashback of Elizabeth and Lissa's developing rivalry, before switching back to the future where the story beats us over the head with how cool and alluring the Matriarch is. Or supposed to be, anyway. She aura farms while getting dressed and drops a cringe one-liner before the scene changes again, this time going back to John, Damian, and Elizabeth. The new Trinity is on a rooftop setting up for the imminent assassination, which they're going to carry out using the strongest weapon at their disposal. A bow and arrow. What, did you think I was going to say something else? Superman? Come on, what is this, amateur hour? I mean, just look at that bow. It's got the lasso of truth as a bowstring. I mean, I'm sure that does something. The Trinity continue plotting and have a brief argument about who should be the one to get up close and personal with the Matriarch, while Elizabeth lines up her shot. And, naturally, they pick the most rational option, Damian. And after their conversation wraps up with a foreboding statement, we get yet another flashback whose only real purpose is to ham-fistedly tell us just how great at fighting Elizabeth and the Matriarch are. While the pair trade blows in a practice match, the narration tells us that they were only 10 or 11 years old when it became clear to them that no other Amazon on the entire island came close to competing on their level, leaving them stuck with each other as sparring partners. Eventually, things start to get a little heated when Lissa slashes Elizabeth in the stomach. Elizabeth's like, "What are you doing? We're just supposed to be practicing." And Lissa's like, "The phrase, 'it's just a game' is such a weak mindset." It means you're okay with losing, with the imperfection of your craft. Lissa, what the fuck are you talking about? When we cut back to the future, the day of the ceremony has arrived. In a small banquet hall, a bunch of unnamed rich people have gathered with the matriarch front and center. At her side are 2 bodyguards that she apparently needs for some reason. And as the ceremony begins, its host, Lex Luthor, takes the podium to introduce the guest of honor. It is my honor... No. Honor is not a strong enough word, for honor implies some selfless deed on my part, and I am many things, but I am never selfless. No, my friends. No, the right word here, which is an honorable one, undoubtedly, is duty. It is my duty as a citizen of this world, as a leader of this city, to present this gift today. Luthor's glazing is interrupted when Damian suddenly bursts through the window and takes him down, swiping the Godkiller sword in the process. The Matriarch's bodyguards are sent to stop him, but fail immediately because... duh. With the guards out of the picture, Damian and the Matriarch get ready to face off. Hey, I'm gonna pause here for a sec just to warn you that the next pages we're about to go over are, to put it nicely, very, very stupid. You'll see what I mean. So while Damian and the Matriarch begin their fight, clashing back and forth, Godkiller sword versus... regular sword? 2 things are happening. Elizabeth has knocked her arrow and is lining up a shot while John Kent is speeding towards the fight. This is the plan. They need to kill Matriarch, but the Green Lantern ring she wears will protect her from certain attacks. So while Damian is fighting the Matriarch and distracting her, John will fly in, speed blitz her, and remove the Green Lantern ring so her defenses will be down and Elizabeth can hit her with an arrow. I know, just bear with me. John bursts through the broken window and crosses the distance to the Matriarch, who he's caught in the middle of a sword swing. With his hands on the ring, he begins to remove it just as Elizabeth looses the arrow, sending it hurtling towards the Matriarch. But just before it hits, Lex Luthor shoots it out of the air with a gun. Damian yells at this new development, and John is suddenly on the ground because that wasn't a Green Lantern ring, that was a Kryptonite ring. The Matriarch has regained her composure and immediately stabs John in the chest, killing him. Damian charges in, but Matriarch effortlessly bests him and stabs him in the chest, killing him also. The scene ends with Lex Luthor bowing to the Matriarch and John and Damian lay dead on the ground. Okay. So that made absolutely no sense. First of all, Lex has no reason to be helping Matriarch. In Lex's mind, if anybody should be ruling the world, it should be him. It makes no sense for him to actively work against the people trying to stop the person usurping what he believes should be his. Second of all, how did none of them, especially John, notice that that ring was made of kryptonite? Moving at super speed with all the enhanced senses that he has, how could he not have noticed that the ring he was about to touch was made of one of the only things that can hurt him? And even pretending for a second that it does make sense for him not to notice, this scene still shouldn't have played out this way because that's not how kryptonite works. Kryptonite doesn't just turn off a Kryptonian's powers as easy as flipping a switch just because they touched it for 2 seconds, especially not in a quantity that small. John has been in the general vicinity of this kryptonite ring for all of 20 seconds and suddenly Matriarch can just cut through him like he's fucking butter? That's dumber than Wonder Woman being hurt by bullets. Also, can we talk about how horribly inconsistent this entire situation is? Just think about it. In this story, the conflict is that the Matriarch has defeated and killed the Justice League, who were apparently not strong enough to stop her. And yet, the plan to assassinate the Matriarch after the fact entirely hinges on removing the Green Lantern ring from her finger so they can kill her with an arrow. Now Tom, Buddy, Bubula, do you seriously expect me to believe that the Justice League couldn't stop Matriarch, but a seemingly normal arrow can just blow her shit smooth off? The crux of this assassination plan very clearly implies that without the Green Lantern ring, the Matriarch isn't all that durable. So why wasn't the plan just to jump her, take the ring, and beat the shit out of her? It's not like they don't have the raw power advantage on their side, not to mention superior durability and speed, evidenced by the fact that the entire plan hinged on John rushing in and taking the ring from her. If a speed advantage and a well-placed arrow was all it would have taken to kill the Matriarch, then how the fuck did we even get to this point in the first place? Why is the plot bending over backwards into its own ass to justify this cringy OC's continued existence? And guess what? We still haven't even gotten to the worst part of this story. Just brace yourself, because the last 3 pages of this comic are the cherry on top of this whole mess. In the aftermath of the failed assassination attempt, the story is brought to a grinding halt by yet another flashback of the matriarch's childhood. In it, she and a young Elizabeth are sitting on a beach discussing the conflict they always seem to be involved in. They go back and forth talking about loneliness and friendship, and from the looks of the dialogue here, it seems like they might try and make the matriarch a sympathetic villain later, which is just wonderful. Cutting back to the present, Elizabeth has just watched her best friends die, but instead of helping, naturally she just hops in the invisible whip and drives away.
Like you do.
Over an unspecified amount of time, Elizabeth drives from Metropolis all the way to Washington, where she finally stops at the Washington Monument, presses a panel on the side, and enters a secret passage at the base of the structure. As she descends a set of stairs into a secret room, she begins to talk to somebody off-screen about how the job is done and everything went perfectly. Apparently, the real plan all along was to steal the Godkiller sword during the meeting with Lex, and then have John and Damian sacrifice themselves at the ceremony so that the matriarch wouldn't suspect that their plan wasn't just to assassinate her.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb, it's brilliant.
No! It's just dumb!
Now, I know what you're thinking. Who is the absolute genius that came up with this plan? Who masterminded this scheme? Who is Elizabeth talking to? Well, on the final page, we get our answer. Because on the final page is Wonder Woman. That tears it. It was bad enough when the story was ignoring basic logic, but having the big reveal be that Wonder Woman knowingly sent 2 of her best friend's children to die just so she could get a sword is fucking abysmal. The way I see it, there are really only 3 possible ways that this part of the story could turn out later. Option 1, this is all some big trick. The assassination scene was some kind of illusion, and John and Damian didn't actually die. Which would mean that the comic is just lying, because we were very clearly shown Elizabeth saying that she would miss them before the assassination began, and we were shown her crying after she left John and Damian to die. Why would she do this if what happened wasn't real? Option 2. John and Damian did die, but Diana just has some way to bring them back to life later on. This is also a really, really stupid option. Not just because it seems lazy and emotionally manipulative to the audience, but because it's insanely out of character for Wonder Woman. Which leads us seamlessly into option 3. Everything is exactly how it seems, and Wonder Woman just sacrificed 2 guys who are basically her nephews just so she could get a sword. Listen. I haven't been reading Wonder Woman comics for very long, but I ain't no tourist. Even someone with the modest amount of ball knowledge that I have should know that Wonder Woman would absolutely never send people to their death to benefit herself and her own goals. She would find another way, she would figure something else out, or better yet, if somebody absolutely had to die, she would just go and do it herself rather than sacrifice someone weaker than her. You can't even argue that maybe these are just extenuating circumstances that don't allow any room for the usual morals since the threat is just too great. Because the story has already shown us that the matriarch just isn't that strong. She hasn't displayed any abilities past the base abilities of an Amazon, proficiency in combat, and a Green Lantern ring that can apparently just be taken off her finger pretty easily. The simple fact that the equivalent of a weaker version of Superman was able to outpace and start to disarm her is proof that the matriarch has no business being as big a threat as the story insists she is. Whatever the case may be, whichever option turns out to be true, it's undeniable that this writing choice for Wonder Woman shows a complete lack of understanding or complete disregard of the character's core values. Either way, the state of mainline Wonder Woman right now just isn't good, and considering that this run seems to be nowhere near over, it's not getting better anytime soon. And that is about it. Damn, this video took me way longer than I expected it to. I'm in the middle of working on a video about Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender, but when this newest issue of Wonder Woman came out, I just couldn't help but talk shit about it for a little while. Anyway, with all that talk about regular Wonder Woman out of the way, I think I'm gonna go read some Absolute Wonder Woman as a bit of a palate cleanser. With that being said, if you liked the video, let me know. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.